Okay, this is Build for Success Session 2. I am going to share my screen and we're going to go over a couple of things that is going to hopefully make a huge difference in your life. And even if it's just your daily life, but hopefully to help us to be prepared to be very prosperous in the thing that God has called us to from current slide. Okay, I want to make sure. All right, hold on a second. One more click. All right, I need a thumbs up. I need to make sure everyone can see my slides. Can everyone see my slides? I need a thumbs up or a shout out. Let me know if you can see my slides. Welcome,
Screen is
Pat.
black. My
Okay.
screen is black.
Okay, your screen is black. Okay, hold on, stop share. And then I go back to share again. And for some reason it works when I do that. All right, can you see it now?
I can see that, yeah.
Perfect. I think where we left off last time was know your identity. And we talked about how important it is because things change, don't they? Things change in life, things shift, things transition, seasons come, seasons go, timelines come, deadlines go. Calendars get filled, calendars get emptied, planners get filled, planners get. I'm telling you, things change in life. But when your identity is anchored in Christ, then it doesn't matter which way the wind blows. It doesn't matter which side the politicians are raging and screaming about. You can know that you know that you know you're anchored and you don't have to blow with the wind. So, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Guess what? Tony is already on. So I am actually going to I am going to go right on over to Tony because it is close to 6:30 and we are going to continue our training on next week at 6:30. But I do want to say one thing. I was going to talk about sharing your story tonight, but I will do that next Thursday. I'll talk about how to share your story. And by the way, we have some compliance issues we need to talk about, and it's no longer testimony. It is actually about story time. So we are going to actually talk about how to share our story, not unless you're going to say, we're going to testify what the Lord has done. And he led me to, and he showed me how. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with Mr. Tony, and he's going to talk about some amazing things, the magnificent, miraculous minerals tonight that can enhance your body, make a difference. And Tony, are you going to need the screen share?
Yes, please.
All right, then I just gave you permission and you go for it.
All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. Hello, Miss Pat. It's been a while since I've seen your beautiful face. Good to see you again. Hope everybody is well. And yes, before we get started, what Levon was saying, there have been some compliance upgrades, if you will. I'll just touch on it real brief. I know some of the folks were on the call earlier this morning with Louis. But yeah, we cannot be prescribing stuff. We cannot be diagnosing people and using big fancy medical terminology. All right. So yeah, and we've heard this before. You know, we can't tell somebody, oh, I can help your diabetes. We cannot help their diabetes, but we can help their blood sugar problem. It's just it's crazy stuff, but it is what it is. So we just have to be really careful what we say and how we say it. All right. So with that being said, let me jump into our discussion for this evening, which is going to be on minerals. So let me get this thing started from the beginning. All right. All the way to the front. How's that? Oh, okay. Minerals. Are they important? And if so, how important? I think they are fairly crucial. We do need them. They serve all sorts of purposes. And where do we get these minerals? Well, minerals are in the ground, and then they're in the foods that we eat. And they get into the food because the food is growing in the ground, and they absorb that stuff through the ground. So that's where the minerals come from. And why do we need them? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons, and we'll go through some of those this evening as well. We all know, I think most people know, one of the biggest things about minerals, like calcium, for example, is for your bones and your teeth. We're going to have that. If you know the way the bone is, it's just a network of fibers, if you will, collagen, and then all these minerals come and get deposited onto that network, that framework, and go solid, and that's what makes your bones. So it's very, very important to get our minerals into our diets. It also helps to control body fluids, and then the next one is water balance, and salt plays a very important role there, and we'll talk about salt just for a minute as well. All the food we eat has to get turned into energy, so we need minerals for that. That's good for muscle and nerve function. You need the different minerals to make your muscles work properly. If you want to lift your arm, you need the muscles to lift that arm. Your heart is a muscle, it's constantly beating. It needs to contract and relax, so we need minerals for that. And then also for making your hormones and enzymes, and then the immune system. And we all know what happens if your immune system is shot. You have challenges trying to stay healthy. So let's dive right in and look at deficiency symptoms and who's at risk of mineral deficiency. Typically, people with chronic illnesses, because their body is just depleted. It's chewing up everything it can get hold of to try and stay alive. And then if anybody knows any people that are on the elderly side, they could also be mineral deficient, because I think, as we get older, if the kids move out the house or the spouse passes away, whatever the case, even if there's just two of you left, or it's just you on your own, nobody really wants to sit down and make spend an hour in the kitchen prepping dinner. So we tend to just snack on a few things here and there. Maybe once in the blue moon, we'll sit down, we'll make something decent. But our diet isn't what it's supposed to be, so we are missing some of those nutrients purely because we're just making enough food at home. All right. People who live on vegetarian and vegan diets. Now, this might sound weird because I started out by saying minerals are in the ground, so they get into the plants that we eat. Now, vegetarians and vegans eat a lot of plants. So how does that fit together then? Well, there's a lot of minerals that you get in meat. And there's just certain things like vitamin B12, your vitamin Bs, I think especially B12. The best place to get it is from beef. All right. So if vegans and vegetarians aren't eating much beef, they're not getting some of those nutrients that their body so desperately needs. All right. Other people that could have deficiencies are ladies that are pregnant, or what they call them these days, birthing people. So call them what you want, but I believe any woman can get pregnant. So women during pregnancy can be mineral deficient.
In the kitchen.
And then also athletes, if they eat a very, very strict diet or very reduced diet, if they're eating just carbohydrates because they're carbo loading for some event, they could be missing out on certain nutrients as well. All right. So some of the deficiency symptoms, there you go. Fatigue and numbness and muscle cramps. Now, muscle cramps, and further down the line there, restlessness. Restless leg syndrome. I don't know if you folks know what that is, or if any of you have suffered with that. That is essentially a magnesium deficiency. And so is muscle cramps, because you don't have the nutrients you need for the muscles to work properly. So they're kind of getting jammed. It's like, I suppose, like a car engine that doesn't have enough oil. It's going to have a hard time not being able to get lubricated. It's going to overheat. It's going to start burning. fusing the metal parts together. So there could be a challenge there. Tooth decay, you need the calcium and all sorts of other minerals for your teeth. Your brain fog, your brain, you're just not focused like you should be. And again, your immune system, and then brittle nails and hair. I was actually speaking with somebody the other day, and she made me feel her nails, and they were fairly strong. She said she used to have fairly brittle nails, but when she started adding iodine, that all went away. So now she's got the long nails, but they're nice and hard. They're not brittle. They're hard. They're strong. And she's as happy as a pig in Palestine because those nails aren't breaking anymore. So let's take a look. Sodium and potassium and chloride. Yeah, and there on the left-hand side, you see there it says salt. Now, I want to talk about salt just for a minute because so many people have been led to believe that salt is bad for us. You know, too much salt, you're going to get also the blood pressure problems, and it's just not true. So we have to get the sodium, we have to get the potassium because that's going to help with things like your muscle contraction. The potassium, very good for the heart. So you have to have that potassium in your system. If people don't want to get sodium chloride, which is regular table salt, but they still need to get, they still want that salt flavor and taste when cooking, there's a product called no salt, which is potassium. Tastes like salt. It's got the same sort of effect as salt. So that's one way to get saltiness in your food if there really is a problem with you and sodium. All right, but there shouldn't be. Fluid balance. You need the sodium to help get rid of water. Okay, so if a person has high blood pressure, for example, if we take a look, water follows minerals in your body. So if you've got too much water in your bloodstream, now remember, let me see if I can find something here. Imagine this. That is your bloodstream. That's the blood vessel. That's the diameter of the blood vessel. That doesn't really expand too much. It can get a bit bigger, but not a heck of a lot bigger. So if something happens that you start retaining water, that water stays in the blood. So now you have a higher volume of blood in the same size diameter blood vessel. So what's going to happen? The pressure is going to build and you're going to have high blood pressure. And the doctor is going to tell you stop eating salt. Well, that doesn't help much because if you do eat salt and it gets into your colon area, the water is going to follow that salt and it's going to come out of your bloodstream. It's going to land up in your colon area, go down the toilet, and you're getting rid of all the excess water. It's going to help with the kidneys to filter it properly, and you can just pee it out as well. So you're going to get rid of the water. All right. So salt, super important. That Na and the Cl, sodium chloride, that is good old-fashioned table salt. Now you see about chloride, I've got stomach acid over there. If you know what the formula is for stomach acid, it's HCl, it's hydrochloric acid. Now, the Cl part of hydrochloric acid is the same Cl that's over here in the salt, in the sodium chloride. So you need this element over here. You need the chlorine to make stomach acid. So if you don't get enough salt in your diet, you aren't going to be able to make enough stomach acid to digest your food. You'll have food sitting there, not digested properly, going down into your small intestine, not being fully absorbed because it's not broken down enough. So you're going to become malnourished. And you might also have problems like reflux or GERD, or call it what you want. Because if your stomach acid isn't low enough, the valve at the top of your stomach doesn't close, and that whatever acid is in there tends to come up and it burns your throat. So you certainly do need salt in your diet. So please, don't not eat salt. You have to eat salt. All right. And I challenge anybody to try and eat too much salt. All right. Has anybody ever put too much salt on their food? And it's just like you try and eat this potato or piece of meat or whatever it is with all the salt in it, and it's just like, bleh. Can't do it. It's just way too salty. So, very important, those salts and the chlorine, got to get them in your diet. Calcium. Here comes calcium with the bones and the teeth. We've got to get the calcium in to help build strong bones, strong teeth. The last thing we want is for our bones to be brittle and break, and then we fall over. You know, I remember as a kid, there was the stories that, not the story, but the saying would be, you know, the little old lady fell and broke her hip. I think, and this is just me, I think what happened there was the little old lady's hip broke, and that's why she fell, because her bones broke. Suddenly she couldn't stand anymore, and down she went. All right. So calcium, again, very important for muscles to help them relax and contract. And again, the heart is a muscle that doesn't stop working. It goes 24/7, non-stop. It's pumping blood through you, getting oxygen where it needs to be. And it's also important for nerve functioning, for blood clotting, and then it helps with blood pressure as well. So calcium, super important. Make sure you're getting it in your diet. You can get it from like dairy products. You can get it from some green vegetables. And you can also get it straight out of a bottle, okay, to supplement your diet. Don't be living just on pills and tablets and potions and what have you. You have to eat good old-fashioned food. That's just the way it is. Magnesium. Magnesium, again, works in the muscles. And it also helps with the nerve transmission. So the calcium and the magnesium, there you go. CalMag, that is fantastic for helping with nerves and muscle contraction. Combination right there. Very important for your immune system, keep your immune system strong. And the magnesium helps to release any stored energy in your body. Now, we don't want energy just stored in our body the whole time. We want to be able to use it and get access to it. And the magnesium is going to help release that so that you have the energy that you need to go and do what you need to do. And it also helps to reduce your tiredness and fatigue. So very, very important mineral right there. Now, if you don't have enough magnesium, you cannot make enough vitamin D. So we know sunshine is good. You've got to get the cholesterol, and the sunshine on the cholesterol helps make vitamin D, but there's also another factor, which is the magnesium. All right, your risk of infection goes up if you don't have enough magnesium. And part of the problem when cooking, not just magnesium, but there's a lot of nutritional losses if you cook something at elevated temperatures for a long period. Take, for example, if you bake a cake. What happens is that cake starts going brown. Then you know, well, this cake is almost ready. That thing was cooked at 350 degrees for about, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, depending on what it is you're making. So that process of that cake starting to go brown, you're now destroying some of the ingredients that was in that cake. So if you're going to eat a steak, slap it on a high heat real quick, 4 minutes, turn it over, 4 minutes, sit down and eat it, okay? Because then you haven't destroyed too much of the value of that steak. And then 30 to 40% of your ingested magnesium is absorbed intestinally. So you are going to get it into your intestines. It's going to go through there. Some of it gets absorbed through the stomach. But once it's in the intestinal tract, it's going to be absorbed, get into your bloodstream, and it needs to go and do its thing. And chelated minerals are super important because you want to get as much of that mineral to the cell as possible. We don't want to just, pee the stuff out or poop it out down the toilet. We want to actually use it. You've bought a product, you paid for it, you want to get the best value out of it. So phosphorus, again, helps with bones and teeth, and you're going to find phosphorus in every cell in your body. And it's super important for that acid-base balance. We've all heard that, you don't want your body to be too acidic, you don't want it to be too alkaline. You got to have that balance. And it's very important. For example, your blood pH is, and Levon can correct me here, it's got to be, if it changes with even like a 0.1, then you can land up in hospital. You can actually die if your blood pH changes. So we have to make sure we have the minerals that we need. to keep everything in balance, because that's all your body wants to do. You feed it stuff, you give it all these goodies, you give it food, you give it some elevate, some you drink, water, whatever the case may be. All your body wants to do is keep things in balance to keep you alive and flourishing. And if we don't have enough of certain things, then we have an imbalance, and we're going to have problems on the other end. Zinc. Zinc is the important one. Excuse me. So there's a whole lot of different reactions that go on in your body. There's hundreds of them, hundreds. But zinc is going to help to regulate just about 300 different enzymes. And we need all those enzymes for various things, digesting food, etc., breaking down fats, all that kind of stuff. And then the zinc, super important for making DNA and RNA. And your DNA and RNA is what determines who you are. All right. It determines how much hair you're going to have. Are you going to have hair? You know, are you going to be good looking or not? That's all in the DNA. So we've got to make sure we get the zinc in there. And we want to get it, especially for the young men, we want to get zinc into their system right around the time of puberty or just before, because that's going to help develop all those male sex organs and the testosterone levels, you name it. It's super important for young boys to get zinc at an early age. And then zinc is also a very good antioxidant, along with things like the vitamin E, vitamin A, carotenoids, all those things. But we're talking minerals here, so zinc is one of those that's very, very good. And you'll see just a bit further down there where it has an influence on viral infections and viral replication. Zinc essentially stops that virus from reproducing, from growing. So you see there at the bottom, COVID-19, that helped in the treatment. Everybody is buying zinc, 5 years ago. Good grief. Can't believe it was 5 years ago already. Zinc is super important when helping with viral infections and those sort of things. So don't neglect the zinc. One of the problems that a lot of people had with COVID was the loss of taste. I know my son Austin did. For the longest time, nothing tasted the same. And when his taste buds did come back, certain things tasted differently to what he remembered the way it should have tasted. So it's just kind of funky. I don't know what they put in that bug, but it did some damage to some people. So zinc is going to help with your taste. It's going to help with wound healing. Very important. We want to get a wound healed as soon as we can. We don't want infection setting in. We don't want bones growing all skew or not growing, all that kind of stuff. And then again, for fetal development, super important to make sure that that little baby starts growing and it grows properly like it should. Zinc for the production of sperm. I think everybody's heard my story about zinc and babies. It works like a charm. All right. So make sure, gentlemen, that you get onto some zinc. Like I said, especially younger boys. So their normal growth and sexual maturation, zinc, super important. So if you've got grandchildren, if you've got family members that have got little kids, little boys, 10, 12 years old, get them onto zinc as soon as possible. And then also helps with your skin, your hair, and your nails. And another thing is your vision. We don't want to be going blind or losing sight simply because we are zinc deficient. All right? So be careful. Iodine, I spoke about this just a bit earlier. Iodine is one of those minerals that it's almost like it's a forgotten mineral. It's making a comeback. People are starting to realize the importance of iodine. It affects just about everything that happens in your body. It helps with your growth, your development, your metabolism, your brain function. It helps to release your stored energy. That last one there maintains normal skin. I had probably I'm guessing about 6 weeks ago, my shins were super itchy. My legs I felt like there was something crawling under my skin. I scratched and I scratched until I was bleeding and sometimes. And then it went away. was like that for about 2 weeks, and then it went away. But about 2 weeks after that, for about 2 weeks, the skin on my legs, on my shins, I looked like I was I don't know, a snake busy, shedding its skin. It was all kind of scaly. Have you ever seen pictures of like a desert when it used to be wet, but all the water's dried up and you got all these patches of mud that's just kind of curling up and all these cracks? Well, that's what my legs looked like.
Love.
And for a while, I hadn't been taking my iodine. So I got back onto it 10 days ago, maybe, if that, a week, 10 days ago. That problem is gone. So very, very good. Iodine, got to get it. And Levon has got lots of information on that as well. She can give you all the links. You can buy the stuff. It's on Amazon.
Google.
And yeah, Lugol's is the brand. I haven't been through every one of our products to see, what do we have? Does any of them have iodine in them?
Yes, Stress Pack has extra iodine in it.
Okay, I don't use the stress pack, so I haven't read that label. So there you go. Levon's on top of it. Thank you, Levon. But iodine, very important. Okay. And in fact, Yvette watched a video. A doctor was talking about iodine. And he said he did a test of, I think it was 1,000 people. 997 of those people were iodine deficient. And he said the only reason the other three weren't iodine deficient is because they were taking an iodine supplement. He says, but if they weren't taking one, they probably would have been iodine deficient. So I would suggest taking a good look into iodine, go do some homework, go do some research. Very, very important. It helps with all sorts of things. And from some reports that I've read, gentlemen, if you're interested, iodine can help put some lead back in your pencil, puts a bit of starch back in your noodle if you need it. So keep that in mind when shopping. Buy 2 bottles instead of just one. You never know. And then
And Tony, about iodine, could that be the case when, and like in Thailand, Asian countries, they eat a lot of seafood, which is loaded with iodine, that they have a tendency to have their levels of iodine higher?
yeah, there is a lot of iodine in seafood and stuff, but at the same time, there's also lots of arsenic in seafood. In fact, Yvette is busy dealing with somebody at the moment whose arsenic levels are sky high. And so Yvette said, send me what you're eating. This woman lives on seafood. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
you're going to have to cut back a little bit. Okay. Yeah. You're going to have to cut back because you can die. Arsenic will kill you over time. But yeah.
It's a slow death.
What's that?
Arsenic is a slow death. It's one of the favorite ways they will knock you off with a certain organization.
Yeah. Like marriage. That's how women get rid of their husbands.
A little bit arsenic, yes.
Just a little bit every day.
Every
No.
day. We'll
Just
grind up some apple seeds just for you.
Yeah. Just a little bit of humor. Very little indeed. Anyways, iron, and I think iron is the last of the elements we're talking about here, but iron is extremely important for your cellular energy metabolism. When you eat food and you get your nutrients in, that cell needs to be able to digest that nutrient. Okay, it's got to get it to work. That cell has to produce. So it either has to grow or it has to build new tissue, whatever the case may be. It's like if you go to the gym and you're working out and you're doing all these weight training and you're breaking down your muscle tissue, your body needs to make new cells, new muscle cells to go and fix up the damage that you've done there where you rip that muscle. So every cell has a function, but if it doesn't get its nutrients, it can't do what it needs to do. So iron is going to help with that energy metabolism within that cell. So that cell can actually be alive and do what it's supposed to do. All right. Your immune system. Yes, Lavon.
I was just going to say, I'm getting a lot of calls with women, especially that are iron deficient, and the doctors are putting them on an iron tablet. And it seems to be like there's more than normal people that are low in iron. Can
Yeah.
you camp out on that a little bit?
I think probably because of what we've been told over the years about red meat being so bad, okay? Red meat is going to kill you. Red meat's going to give you a heart attack. Red meat's going to give you high cholesterol. Red meat's going to give you colon cancer. So a lot of people have switched from eating beef to eating chicken and fish. They'll still eat beef, but not as much as what they used to. And there's a lot of iron in red meat. So straight away, just in the diet, we're losing a lot in terms of by not eating the red meat. Okay. Ladies, yeah, because ladies live on a cycle. Every once in a while, they are disposing of some of their iron. And if you're not eating properly, you can't get that back into your system. So you have to supplement, you have to change your diet. I've seen so many stories and videos of ladies that have had dysmenorrhea. They get onto, for example, an animal-based diet, or they just up their red meat intake dramatically, and that solves that problem. I also know people, ladies that have gone through menopause, that were on progesterone, not the tablets, but the thing that the cream that you rub onto the legs and it gets absorbed, where they changed their diet, increased their protein intake, their red meat protein intake, and eventually got off of the hormone cream and didn't go back to having any of the symptoms of menopause. So there's a lot to be said for meat. I actually just saw an article this morning where red meat causes colon cancer. Yeah, it's the iron in the red meat that's causing colon cancer. No, I'm sorry. I 100% disagree with that. 100%. If it was that bad, how did people 400, 600, 700,000 years ago, they didn't have all the food that we have today. We have an abundance of food, especially plant material, plant foods. Back then, they didn't have what we have, and they ate a lot of meat. And they lived to ripe old age, these people. I look at some of the folks in South Africa, some of the indigenous people that were there before the ships even landed there. These guys, they're as skinny as anything. They're old. They run around chasing their food. They've still good old bow and arrow with a little poison tip on the front, and they hunt that antelope or that deer, whatever it is, and they run for miles. And that's what they eat. They're out in the desert. They don't grow broccoli out there. They don't grow strawberries out there. Nothing grows out there other than weeds. All right. There's a tree every once in a while, but there's no crops out there. They have nothing but some of the tubers below the ground, like wild yams or something like that, and whatever meat they can catch. And these guys live to old age. I'll send pictures for you when we're done here. I'll see if I can find a picture of these people, and I'll flash it up there real quick. But they're 70 years old, 80 years old, running around chasing their food. All right. I don't know how many Americans that are 70-year-olds can run around and catch a deer. So it's important. We have to get iron in our system, and meat is a good place to get it. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. All right. Before you believe something, look who did the study, who funded the study, what do they stand to gain by saying that this causes this problem? All right. So enough of me and my little soapbox there. But your immune system, it needs to constantly grow. All right. It needs to be developed. It needs to be rebuilt. And it also needs to function properly. And if we don't have enough iron, that is going to take a knock as well. And you've probably seen people that are vegetarian, but more so vegan. If you take a good look at them, they look a little bit pasty. You know, their hair seems to be real thin. Their skin doesn't look as good as what it could look. And a lot of those problems is because of the nutrient deficiency, the mineral deficiencies in their diet. Now, we've got a friend that's thinks she's vegetarian. I've seen her eat fish. She called Yvette a while ago. She's got all these problems. Her inflammation is sky high. It's off the charts. Everything hurts. She had bowel problems. So she's eating, a little bit of fish, but mostly a vegetable diet. And she's got all these bowel problems. I'm thinking, why? Well, I mean, I know why. I asked the question, And she says, no, but when she changed to that diet 20 years ago, she lost 60 pounds or something. And I said to her, it's not a case of the vegan diet made me lose weight. Typically, when people want to change their diet to something else from the standard American diet, okay, they said, I'm overweight, I don't feel good, I need to do something. I'm going to become a vegan because red meat's killing us and it's got fat in it. So I'm going to be a vegan or vegetarian, or if people want to do a keto diet or a carnivore diet or a ketovore diet or whatever diet they decide they want to go and do, they've made the choice to live a bit of a healthier lifestyle. So they've cut out all the other stuff. They've cut out the Coca-Cola, they've cut out the bagels, they've cut out the pastas and the crackers and all that kind of stuff. Yes, they're going to lose weight because they've stopped eating all that stuff. So it wasn't the fact that the vegan diet made me lose weight. No, the vegan diet cut out all the crap that you were eating that caused you problems. But 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, they start looking a little bit, I don't know what the word is, flaky, undernourished. And then they develop problems down the road. We have to get these things in our system. It's just, we don't have a choice. If you want to live a vibrant, healthy life, we have to get these minerals, and a lot of them come from meat. So it's just the way it is. I don't care what meat it is, anything, duck, chicken, goat, lamb, whatever you can find out there. All right, the stuff that God made for us to eat. So there you go. All right, so these are some of the things I've covered here this evening. I didn't talk about Elevate, but Elevate has got some good nutrients in it as well. Got some, what do you call them? My brain always goes dead. The minerals that are in there.
Electrolytes.
Electrolytes. Holy cow. Yeah. Been a long day.
Just think of electric slide. Do the electric.
Yep. So those supplements you see there, everybody should be taking, if not all of those, at least 50% of those on a daily basis. All right. If you're iron deficient, I would say go for the Sport Endurance. It's got 1,000 milligrams, which is 1 gram of liver, desiccated liver. And all desiccated liver is just liver that's been dried out and pulverized. That's it. So you've got in two tablets.
Tony, if somebody's trying to raise their iron levels because it's too low and the doctor's given them a prescription for some iron, how much endurance would benefit them?
Probably at least 6 a day.
6 a day? Okay.
Yeah. Because it's got some B's in there as well. It also has vitamin C, and then it's got some iron in it. Liver has got a bunch of good stuff in it. It's got iron, it's got choline, it's got B12, 6, it's got vitamin A.
It's a food. It's just food.
Essentially, that's what it is. Yeah. The liver is a very, very nutritious organ. Put it that way. All right. I don't know if you guys ever watch Discovery Channel or National Geographic, and if you've ever seen these shows or these documentaries where they're out in the plains of Africa where the lions are hunting, and they catch that dear little springbok or whatever antelope they get, they rip that thing open, and as fast as they can, they try and get to the liver, and they just gorge themselves on the liver. And have you ever seen a lion that his face is just covered in blood? All right. When I shot my elk a few years ago, and I cut the thing open, cut the stomach open, and pulled the skin off. There wasn't a lot of blood anywhere. There really wasn't. But as soon as I cut through that diaphragm that was separating the liver from the stomach area, because I shot it right through the chest, so it destroyed this poor thing's lungs and liver. But as soon as I cut that open, there was just blood everywhere. It was like this red jello, and it was crazy. But that lion, they go in and they try and get that liver, try to get as much of that as possible, and then they munch on the legs and whatever, the meats and all that kind of stuff. So liver is phenomenal, and you don't need a heck of a lot of it, right? You don't need to eat too much of it. 3 ounces a week, maybe, if that. And if you don't like liver, I was speaking to somebody earlier today. Make a liver pate, put it on a little cheese crisp. You can buy those in the store. It's just Parmesan cheese that's been grated and baked, and it just goes into like a little cookie about that size, a little cracker of some sort. Put some liver pate on that. It's a great way to get some vitamin C into your system, the B's, you name it, vitamin A. So yeah, the Sport Endurance is an awesome product. It really is. All right. So I do believe that brings us to the end of the movie here tonight. And if anybody's got anything that they want to share or questions, I'd love to try and help as much as I can.
Yes. How much iodine do you take a day?
I started out, because you got to start out a little bit on the slow side. I think I started out with 6 drops. You get the little dropper. It's about, what's that, 2.5 inches long, maybe 2 inches. I started with about 6 drops. Right now, I'm up to 3 full droppers per morning.
What was the spelling of the one on the internet?
It gets to a point where you can't get enough out of the liquid, but then you can buy tablets. And Yvette's found some tablets, Iodorel, I think it is. It's got a higher dose per serving.
Okay, the tablets. What? How do you spell that?
Iodorel, I-O-D, I think it's O-R-A-L, something like that.
Okay.
All right, but start out just with a few drops, and then just, after 5 or 6 days, add another drop. And then I think there is a way to figure out what your iodine demand is. Yvette will know, because she worked it out for herself. But yeah, iodine, I'm going to say it's almost like a wonder element, that, because it covers so many different problem areas in our bodies that we have to get it. And we don't have a standalone iodine in our system, within our supplies, within our supplements. So yeah, Lugol's drops, even if you just get it 1 or 2 bottles, and even if you just take 6 drops a day, all right, it's 6 more than you had. So you're going to be slightly better off than not taking it. But then again, go do some reading up on it, see how much do I need, how would I know how much I need. All right, seeing as how we have nothing to do through the day, we might as well go research that.
I was going to say, so go over one more time specific things that you're seeing and changes, or that your body's responding to a whole food nutritional mineral. How is your body responding to taking 2 full droppers of this iodine a day?
One thing I noticed, a physical thing that I noticed, was the skin on my legs. All right, it went from snake skin to human skin again, literally within a week. Not even a week. It was a few days. I'd say 4 to 5 days. That was one thing that I really did notice up front. I used to get on my little toofs over here, these things, scale buildup. I've never had scale buildup on my teeth until I moved to America. So I don't know what's in the water. Probably a lot of stuff. What's in the food, what's not in the food. But I need to have my teeth cleaned, every 3 to 4 months. I'm at the dentist just for the cleaning. Just he gets in there and he just grinds all this stuff off. And then suddenly I've got gaps between my teeth again. And I brush and I floss. I mean, I've got a little mini floss picker thing in my wallet that I carry with me. All right. It's a reusable one.
I was gonna say, how often do you switch that out?
No, I don't. I keep using it until the little floss breaks and I throw it away and get a new one. No, but I've got to that point where if I could turn my camera around, I'd show you my desk here. Here's my desk. Look at this. This is just the two that I could find that aren't covered in paperwork. Toothpicks. All right. They're all over the place in my house. The kids are like, Dad was here. There's a toothpick on the side table. All right. Because I'm constantly trying to get that scale build up off there. But with the iodine drops, and I forgot, I got off of them for, I don't know, probably 2 months because we redid our kitchen. So where the iodine drops were over here in this cabinet, now they're not. Now they're in a drawer in the pantry. Okay. I can't see them. So I forget to take them. Okay. Please tell me I'm not the only one that's like that. Anybody else? Yeah. So probably for about 2 months, I didn't take them. And the scale buildup started coming back. So the calcium buildup, whatever it is, it's not calcium, that scale that you get in your teeth.
It's called, yes, it's
That stuff.
yes.
And I noticed that I went for a very long time without having to go for cleaning. So there's that. Yvette had one or two little things on her skin.
Tart.
Yeah, there we go. Yvette had a couple of things on her skin and on her arm. So she would put the iodine drops on there, put a little band-aid over it. And it solved that problem. Skin tags, those kind of things. So iodine, very important for a whole host of things. A whole host of things.
All right. So you would put a few drops throughout the day, put a gauze on it, and then it on there.
Just put a little band-aid, put a drop or two, depending on the size, a drop or two, and then put a band-aid over it, just so it doesn't go, because it'll be absorbed into the little cotton pad of the band-aid. So it's still there. That's why you stick the band-aid over there. So, but yeah, it actually got to a point where it got beyond healing, and Yvette said, whoa, if I don't, because it looked like it was starting to, what's the word I'm looking for? Chew away at her skin, for lack of a better description. So she stopped using it, and within a few days, everything was fine. So, if you don't need it on certain areas, don't put it on there. Just put it where you need it, a few days, a week, whatever. And Austin had a wart on his foot, on the ball of his foot area. And I said, Austin, you need to put some iodine on there. He's like, yeah, I will. And he never got to it. And eventually I said, Austin, what are you doing? Put some iodine on there. He said, oh, you won't believe it, Dad. The thing came off yesterday. He managed to pull it off and rip the root thing out of it. So he didn't put the iodine drops on. But yeah, things like that, like warts and what have you, iodine. Very, very important. Make sure you get some. Yeah. And folks, we always think about vitamin A, vitamin B. Oh, I take my vitamin C, I'm good to go. Yeah. There's a lot more to keeping these beautiful bodies of ours working very efficiently. So, and minerals plays a massive role in keeping our bodies ticking. And I think a lot of people are mineral deficient purely because of the diets. And we've seen it, we've heard it. Ever since you've been in your life, some people maybe before, that our food just isn't what it used to be back in the day because of the way they're farming crops and things these days. So what's this? Chlorine, aluminum, fluoride, ammonia. Oh, in the water. Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff going on. It's in the plants, it's in the food, it's in the water. It's just, it's scary. Yeah. So I read something interesting the other day because Austin was asking me about something. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you don't eat these. I'm saying go do some interesting reading. Okay. You've always heard me say, eat the food that God made for us. Anybody ever heard me say that? Yeah. So
Pick it,
I did
shoot
some,
it, and
yeah, if you can shoot it or pick it, you can probably eat it.
yeah.
But so that led me down this rabbit trail. But anyways, there are certain foods that God didn't make. And two that come to mind straight away is oranges and strawberries. Those are man-made foods. I found that very interesting. Now, are there nutrients in there that we need? Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I like about Neolife. I don't have to go eat the orange to get the vitamin C and the stuff. Right? Neolife took all the goodness out of it and put that in a tablet form for me. So I'm getting the value, the benefit from the orange without having to eat that orange because it's not a man-made, it is a man-made food. God didn't make the oranges for us. So there's just some interesting reading if you want to go down that rabbit hole. Yeah. Same with broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, all man-made foods. So that's going to scare somebody, I'm sure. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Yes, there are cruciferous compounds in all of those. The cruciferous compounds are good, but I would rather get them from the Neolife cruciferous tablets than eat Brussels sprouts. I've never liked Brussels sprouts. You know, I think there's a reason why, as a kid, you feed them a Brussels sprout or broccoli, and they're like, ew, ew. You know, they want to throw this thing at you, but you give them a piece of bacon, oh boy, that thing goes down the hatch. It doesn't even touch sides. That thing's just straight out. All right. So we need to watch what little kids eat and learn from them because they haven't been brainwashed yet. My mother told me, eat your greens, they're good for you. And I didn't want to get beaten up over Sunday lunch, so I ate my greens. But as soon as I moved out of the house, I stopped eating them. So, but anyways,
Well, yeah, that's true. Well, you think about it. All right. What kind of garden do you think Daniel Boone had? What kind of garden do you think the first explorers, you know, they really didn't have much of a garden, so some basic things, but they went out every day with a gun and they shot something, whether it was a deer, antelope, buffalo, rabbit, whatever it was, and
yeah,
that was dinner.
yeah,
And then in springtime, they might have a delight, and there may be some wild berries. And the
yep,
wild berries, and of course, then Daniel Boone's wife would make probably a cobbler or a pie with those wild berries, or jam with those wild berries.
yeah.
But it
And that's
wasn't
why,
something they ate
yeah,
every single day.
yeah. And that's why they were in good shape as well, because if there wasn't food, well, then you fasted for 2 days until you found some food.
Yeah, you
So they were detoxing for 2 days. Autophagy kicks in, yeah, at 18 hours. So their body's chewing up all the bad cells. That's why these people never got cancer back, 100 years ago, because they fasted whether they wanted to or not. Our bodies, our natural state is a fasting state. That's how our bodies are.
Mhm.
All right.
That's
So
okay. So it's a fasting, resting state instead of a
yeah,
raving state.
yeah. So you go out and you go hunt, you find food, you get that deer and carve it up, and you've got food for the next, depending on the size of the family, the size of the deer, the size of the rabbit, you've got either a meal or you've got 6 meals. But when that's done, you don't eat again until you find something. So your body is in a fasted state normally. And if you think about it, autophagy kicks in at 18 hours. And autophagy is your body's cleanup system. There's these little sweepers that go around and chew up all the dead cells and reprocess them and make proteins again. All right. So while you're running around barefoot in the woods with your bow and arrow looking for something to eat, your body is busy cleaning itself up. It's keeping you in tip-top shape. You're not going to get all these diseases. You're not going to get cancer. You're not going to get arthritis and all this other nonsense that we have today as modern people, because your body doesn't have all this excess stuff running around in it. It's doing its thing. It's cleaning up any dead cells on the inside. And when you find food again, typically it's going to be some sort of a meat with a bit of fat on it, maybe a few tubers, which is fine. The meat's going to build you again. The fat is going to feed you. The tubers give you a little burst of energy, the carbs that come with it. And like I said earlier, we have an abundance of food these days. We have way too much. We have way too many options. It's as simple as that.
But the options are empty. We have empty options.
They are. I 100% agree. If the carbohydrate has a label on it, you shouldn't eat it. So
it's kind of like a man has a lot of options down in Naples. Chrissy can tell you how many women there are per man per capita in Naples. So a man has excess options for his next bride in Naples, Florida. And
yeah.
So we have so many options, but we've not been taught something called quality.
Yeah.
And to look for quality, whether it's on a dating site or whether it's in a grocery store on a shelf. Which one's going to give you the most maximum nutrient density to turn into energy on your behalf and to have a result of health versus what is going to be fast tracked to metabolic syndrome.
Yep. And that's why I like berries, like the blackberries and the blueberries and those sort of things, because they're nutrient dense, but they're not very high in the sugar content and the carbs and what have you. So, you can eat a handful or two of those, get lots of nutrients in without causing any metabolic damage to your system. Whereas, some other fruits, there's just too much of it. Take a watermelon. The watermelon we know these days is, again, it's a man-made size and shape. They used to be a lot smaller and a lot uglier looking, all right, back in the day. It's the same with corn. Corn was just like a wild grass growing out there. Now it's the thing, these kernels all perfectly aligned on the cob. There's nothing out of whack. Perfect piece of corn. All right. It's man-made food. So whether it's genetically modified or hybridized or whatever the case, it's still a man-made food at the end of the day. So we just got to be careful. That's all. And because we have so many options, we like to try all of them. And that leads to problems. So I like to just stick to the basics. When you go to the grocery store, shop around the outside, avoid all the aisles. The only thing you need down the aisles is maybe a little bit of ice cream and some coffee. Other than that, keep going.
Would that be some keto ice cream?
Yes, ma'am. There's a brand called Rebel.
Yep. And it comes in butter pecan.
Yeah, and chocolate. Don't forget the chocolate.
It's right.
A good, so that, somebody asked me this morning, so what do I do if I want something sweet? I said, well, I have essentially two options. I eat the Neolife bar, or we'll have some of the ice cream. Because the Neolife bar's got a little bit of honey on it to hold all the nuts and things together. So if I want something just to snack on or chew on or just feel like eating something with a little bit of sweetness, Neolife bar. And then after dinner, it'll typically be, if we want something, it'll be some of that ice cream, the Rebel ice cream. But keep your options to a minimum, keep it basic. Just keep it basic. Some meat, some butter,
Well,
few veggies.
it simplifies things.
It does. And somebody asked Todd Miller on at Louis' house the other day, so how would you break up how much meat and how many vegetables, etc., etc. And he says, first thing he said is make sure you're getting your correct portion of protein. So you need to know how much protein you got to eat. So figure that out. All right. So on your plate, you've got your protein. He says, and his numbers are a little bit different to mine, but your protein, he says, are probably about 20 to 30% of your calories in fat. If you're still hungry, you can make a balance of those calories with some vegetables of your choice. So the priority in every meal should be protein, because that's going to build you. That's going to make new cells and keep you well maintained, well built, in shape, able to fight off disease. But you need all the nutrients and the minerals to help the whole process happen. But your priority when eating should be protein. All right, protein shakes, 2 a day, 3 a day, I don't care. Whatever you can afford. Along with some meat of some sorts. So, and try to get the best option you can. And then just some good old-fashioned butter to go with it.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
All right.
Awesome.
Miss Chrissy, do you need me to come over there and help you with some of that stuff? I'll gladly come swing that hammer and drive that nail into the wall. That's what I do for fun.
Oh, yeah. I said, next time we have Tony come and do a tour, we'll have him do some handyman stuff.
Just have your to-do list.
Oh,
Have your
yeah,
to-do list
a
ready to go.
to-do, please to-do list. Oh, awesome. I bet Wade is here and he goes, well, if I hear the word honeydew, I go buy a honeydew. Yes, yes, yes.
Something interesting though.
Miss Chrissy, you're muted if you're trying to say something.
YouTube about a year ago about the Indians, the wild Indians. And when they went out and killed buffalo or whatever they had, the chief's family got the liver. And the Indian that did the most scalps of the head got half of it when they went to war.
Yeah.
Interesting that they
Yep.
would know that they wanted that liver.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
the liver is loaded. I've read so many articles on different diets and on people on the carnivore diet. People always say to them, "Oh, you're going to get scurvy because you're not getting any vitamin C." So, all right. So I went and asked something the other day. I asked Google, how long before scurvy sets in? Anywhere from 1 to 3 months. Then you get scurvy, which is a lack of vitamin C. But I know people, I've seen the guys on the YouTube guys. I've got friends that have been doing carnivore diet for 10 years, 6 years, 2 years. None of them have died from scurvy yet. So how does that work? All right. Here's the thing. So there's lots of vitamin C in liver. So if you eat your portion of liver, 2 ounces a week, or whatever, 3 ounces a week, you're going to get some vitamin C. But if a person goes onto a carnivore diet and they've cut out all forms of glucose coming into their system, in other words, carbohydrates, breads, crackers, cakes, whatever, the vitamin C and the glucose compete for the same receptor in your body.
That's right.
So if the glucose gets there first, well, then the vitamin C doesn't get absorbed. Or if the vitamin C gets there first, then you've got a problem with the glucose. Now you've got too much glucose in your system. So if you've cut out all forms of the glucose, the carbohydrates, your vitamin C requirement goes way down, way, 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 way down. And you get enough vitamin C from eating your meat and a little bit of liver once or twice a week. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. The liver's a good way to go. Some people can eat a whole steak of it, pan fried, crumbed, whatever you want to call it. Me, I like it in a pate because normally you grind up some bacon in the pate with it.
Well,
So
I remember growing up and going to a store, small store, not like at A&P, but a small store, and they had a little deli there, and you could get liverwurst. And I remember my dad always getting a chunk of liver, and that would sometimes be his lunch for the week, a big chunk of liver. Um, and
yeah,
and he loved it. And I used to think, oh, that smells terrible. It looks terrible. And he would just grin and chow chow on it. But yeah, he loved his liverwurst. Or they just sold it like that. It was a regular standard staple for that generation. And then
yeah, that's
if
uh,
you wanted the cheaper version, it was bologna.
yeah. And I've read some articles. They say the organ meats used to be consumed a lot more a
Yeah.
number of years ago compared to today. Although, so the organ meat consumption has gone down and the muscle meat consumption has gone up. So
Yes.
back in the day, like you say, your dad, I mean, they had liver for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and
Yeah.
nobody thought twice about it. That's what we eat. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And then the endurance is formulated with vitamin C.
yeah,
So it's paired up perfectly in terms of a ratio per grams of the liver that is in the endurance.
yep,
And that's
yeah.
for better absorption. That's
It's a
awesome.
wonderful
And
product.
absolutely. I think we don't talk about that product often enough.
Yeah,
How it was formulated, why it was formulated, how many people really need it, how many young girls that are having trouble with their cycles and anemic and having issues from young girls to elderly, really doesn't matter. They're having issues. And
yeah.
so also, can you just share one tip about why the Neolife minerals are different from what you buy at GNC, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or anywhere
Or
else?
anywhere else. I think
Yeah.
the biggest difference is the fact that ours are chelated. And what the chelation does is it makes that particular mineral more absorbable. So instead of getting a 5 or a 10 or a 15% absorption of that mineral into your cell, you're going to go all the way up to about a 90, 95%. So you're looking at 6, 7, 9 times better absorption into your cells, because that's what you don't just need the minerals floating around in your bloodstream. That's pointless. It's got to go into the cells. So the chelation is what's going to get it in there. And it's not just a single chelation. It's not just one little amino acid on there. There's two. Double chelated helps it get right in and get to work. Plus, our stuff comes from the plants in the ground. It doesn't come from a lab somewhere in China. I've seen that website where you can go buy all sorts of whatever compounds you need, whether it be magnesium. If you're a compounding pharmacist and you need the raw materials, there's a website you can go. This place is based in China. They make all these chemicals there, and you can buy them in the 45-gallon drum size and take it to your pharmacy and go make your own tablets there. Where did that stuff come from? That worries me. But the Neolife difference is it's made from food. The stuff that you and I would typically eat on a daily basis. Carrots, tomatoes, red bell peppers, you name it, spinach. That's where we get our nutrients from. So to me, those are the two big differences in why our product works. And and this morning, Ashley was saying the same thing. You know, she says other companies aren't being scrutinized as much as what we are, because their products, they don't have the testimonies, they don't have the stories that the Neolife people do, because those products don't work. Ours do. All right. So that's kind of why we're being scrutinized a bit, because of some of the claims that were made, which was all true stuff. It happened. People got better. People's legs grew back, whatever, their hair changed color. I don't know, whatever their testimony was, okay? The product worked. It did something for them. It worked. And other companies don't say all that stuff. They can't make those claims because their products didn't work. Simple.
Didn't you find it kind of funny what Marcy was saying, that somebody took a clip of Louis Smith, one of his Healthier Hub talks on TikTok, and just gleaned one little clip about moringa, and it was Louis talking about the benefits of moringa, and this guy was using it to sell his product, which was moringa. Use Louis Smith to sell this guy's product of moringa. Isn't that
Yeah,
funny?
and that happens on TikTok. That happens on TikTok.
Yeah.
There's
So
yeah,
in other words, caveat emptor, buyer beware. And if you are interested at all in quality, this is the place to park it. This is the place to come. Quality, 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 quality. Absolutely. I think when it was Barbara's husband from England, what's his
Chris.
name?
Yeah, Chris.
Who? Chris Cowley, when he went to India and he did a meeting, and there was a bunch of businessmen there, and they just said, tell us one thing, why you're different. Why are you different? And he thought, okay. He went to the board and wrote the word quality. And they go, we understand quality, we buy. And it was
Yep.
hilarious. Here in America, quality, $2. What's quality? Who cares about quality? I'm saving $2, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh
Yep.
my
That's
goodness.
exactly how it goes. It's exactly how it goes.
But
And somebody was saying the other day the same sort of thing. I read an article, or no, it was a comment thread on a video that was speaking about carnivore, and people say, "Oh, but it's so expensive." And he's like, "Hang on a second, let's work this out. If you eat a pound of beef per day, you can buy ground beef $5 a pound. You eat a pound of beef with a stick of butter, you're done for the day. You're not buying other food. So what did that cost you? $6. All right, $6 a day to feed yourself. That's $180 a month on groceries. So
probably what that is, it lacks variety, and Americans love variety, and they get bored with the same old.
Yeah.
So you can say, okay, let's splash in some eggs. And
well, at $1 per egg these days, that's also a bit rough.
I know it. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah, but Levon, it's true what you say. Okay, variety. People want the variety. I get it. I understand. Okay, 100%. I like a bit of variety. Steak one day, hamburger the next day, just the next day, bacon
chocolate
and
ice
steak.
cream one day, butter pecan the next.
Yeah, a little bit of variety. But so if a person is really concerned about their health, we just have to be upfront and say, okay, well, here's what I would suggest. This could probably help you. Now, it's up to you as to what you're going to do about it. All right. If I have a story, if I have an experience where somebody did this for 2 weeks and it literally saved their life, all right, and you don't want to do this because you're going to get tired of eating ground beef for 2 weeks, How serious are you about trying to make a change? All I'm saying is try it for 2 weeks. See if it's going to extend your life by 10 years. I don't know. So it's just that we just got to sit down and have a heart to heart with these people. Just let them know that this is what we know. This is what we can offer. What are you prepared to do? I will support whatever you, if you don't want to do the program, that's fine. I'm 100%. You're allowed to not do it. But, at the same time, it's like years ago, Austin, I think I may have told the story. Austin was busy growing. He had these growing pains. His legs hurt like a son of a gun. He was playing soccer. He was in pain. He was like, I don't know, 13 years old. So we said, Austin, take some salmon oil. That'll help. Oh, good grief. He took one look at that tablet. You swear I asked him to swallow this mouse. He's like, oof, oof. I'm not going to get that down. A whole gallon of water later, he got one salmon oil down. He says, I'm not going to do this. I said, dude, I've seen you eat steak. You chew it twice and then you inhale. So don't tell me you can't swallow one salmon oil. Nah, well, he can't do it. I said, here's the deal. If you aren't going to do what I'm trying to get you to do to help you, I don't want to hear you complain about your sore legs. End of story. And he didn't complain. He knew if he said anything, I wasn't going to pay attention to it. But before I knew it, 2 weeks down the road, the man's chugging down 6 salmon oils, no problem. Because he'd figured out, I better try this because if my legs are hurting, Dad's not going to help. He doesn't want to hear it. So he made a plan. He got those salmon oils down. And today, he takes a handful of stuff. One big old swig and got 12 pills, 15 pills down his throat. So yeah, it's up to each person, how desperately do they want to try? And we'll just support them in whatever they want to do. Simple as that. Man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So
Right.
we work with them.
It's the persuasion comes in with how severe is your pain,
Yeah.
and then how good is your story in order to share what they want to hear or need to hear, I should say, in order to solve their pain situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Prevention doesn't sell in America. No. Life insurance policies, death assurance policies, any kind of prevention or preparation for the future just doesn't sell in America.
No.
Safety doesn't sell in America unless you're in high crime, unless the need arises, and then you go looking for someone to protect you because, all of a sudden you've been robbed 2-3 times and you're tired of it.
Yeah. Yep.
So you'll pay for security, or
we just have to find that person's threshold,
bingo.
Yeah.
Tap into their pain and then ask them, how serious are you? And if I sent you information, would you be willing to watch it? I know somebody that had the same health challenge that you're, facing, and they changed their lifestyle or they changed their diet, and they're doing much better today. And they have a whole lot less complaints. And they wake up in the morning with, their body's not all swollen.
Yep.
And go to bed at night and they sleep very soundly. So it gives them more mental alertness during the day. I mean, you just couldn't go on and on and on and on. So,
I picked up on something you said there, Levon, and I'm not trying to correct you, but I want to point out something that we need to be aware of in like our story now after this meeting this morning. When you said, yeah, I know somebody else that had the same health challenges. I don't think we can say the word health anymore. So we're just going to say, I know somebody that had the same challenges that you have right now. So we're just going to be, we're going to be really careful what we say, because understand something, folks, and this is digressing just a little bit. I don't know who these people are, the people that are in charge of monitoring companies and businesses.
Federal Trade Commission.
If they shut Neolife down and they turn it into, where did it actually come from, Levon?
Oh, gracious. I'll think of it as.
Okay. So that company, they didn't shut the company down. The company had a choice: pay a $500 million fine or do away with your multi-level section of your company. So you can sign up with that company and become a distributor, but all you can do is retail sales. You cannot build an organization. You cannot make residual income. They have the power to do that. Now imagine if they shut us down in the same way. Levon goes from earning whatever she's earning down to zero. I go down to zero. Louis goes down to zero. Charlie Bolton goes down to zero income. And he spent his life building this business. All right. Now, if a person's brand new and they're only making $2 over 6 months, they don't care if they lose their $2. All right. So we have to be sure that we educate the folks properly on what to say, and more importantly, what not to say. We can't be talking about treating and helping and healing, getting off medication, all that kind of stuff. Just keep it basic, keep it simple. Yeah, I know somebody had the same challenges that you got, and they tried something different, made a few tweaks, and today they are doing a lot better, they're sleeping better, whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's going to be a learning process for all of us. We've got to be careful. All right. We've got to be careful.
Yep,
So
absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, I am going to stop the recording. Thank you for joining us. Get back with the person that sent you this information if you want more information.